Hi, my name is Coach Omir, and in this video, I want to talk about some of the qualities that I've noticed in high-performing people. I made it my point to study some of the highest performing people in the world and try to dissect some of the qualities that I've seen. So the first quality that high-performing people have is drive. High performers are incredibly driven. Now, I'm not sure whether or not this quality is something we're born with or it's something that we develop later on in life, but maybe it's both, right? So our life experience can definitely make us want to do something in life. It can make us want to excel in life. So if you grow up poor, maybe that gives you drive to get rich in life. If you have a traumatic experience that may make you want to gain control over your life again and excel at something. So I don't know where drive comes from, but I do know that high performers have it, and they have a lot of it. They just have this desire to do something. They want to do something big, something great. They want to be the best at something. They want to, win something. They want to achieve something, right? So that's the quality number one. The second quality that high-performing people have is an inspirational goal, an inspirational vision that they're working towards. Once they have that drive, high performers have taken the time to think about what they're gonna put that drive into. They've decided where they're gonna put that drive, what they're gonna do with that drive. Now, this can be winning the championship, it can be getting rich, it can be building a business, it can be succeeding in life at a different level, right? It can be, finishing college as the first one in the family. When Mike Tyson was asked, "What do you want?" he said, "I want to be the youngest heavyweight," which he eventually became at 21. In one of my favorite books, Diana Nyad's Find a Way, she talks about her inspirational goal being when she was a little girl, watching Cuba from Florida and wanting to swim over, that channel, which she eventually did as she grew up. But an inspirational goal is something that gets your juices flowing, right? That sparks you. When you think about it, it just hits you like, yeah, I can't wait to do that. The next quality of high performers is structured movement. High performers have really thought about how to get to their inspirational vision, inspirational goal. They thought about what are the actions that they're going to need to take in order to hit that goal, to achieve that, what they set for themselves. And then they structured it so that that action is not dependent on our moods. How many times do we say that we're going to do something, but then when the time comes to actually do it, we either don't feel like it, we're not in the mood, and so on and so forth. Mike Tyson, that I mentioned before, used to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning to go and jog, to go and run. Not because he felt like it, not because he was in the mood for it, but because that action was structured in and he had to do it. So a high-performing salesperson, for example, if he decided or if he said that he's going to be calling prospects from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., when 9 a.m. hits, he's calling the prospect. This is something that I've seen only high-performing people do. Low-performing or average-performing, they kind of get around to it. They say that I'm going to start calling at 9, but 9 comes, I'm just going to go get some coffee first. And then 9:15 turns into 9:20, 9:30, maybe I'll do it later. People are going to pick up, they went to lunch, and so on and so forth. So high performers, they structure their movements and they keep themselves religiously to those movements. They don't deviate from it, but they make sure they do it when the time comes to do. The fourth quality of high performance is focus. high performers are incredibly focused. So you'll never see a high performer gossip or get into heated debates about politics or any like that. They keep themselves focused on the goal. They keep themselves focused on their daily actions, weekly actions, whatever they need to do. They keep themselves focused on the big picture. So they really are guarding their mind. They are keeping that information that they don't need out of themselves, and they only retain what they feel will help them get to a better level of performance or will help them get faster to the goal that they want. If you have a chance, go on YouTube and watch Senna, the Formula One driver, how he is getting into focus and how he's concentrating himself fully on the race ahead, right? He's closing his eyes, he's visualizing the track, whatever he's doing, but he's focusing deeply onto what he needs to do next. The next quality that I've noticed high-performing people have is pushing the edge. One thing I've noticed, or one thing I've learned about high performance, is that it requires a state of flow. And the way you get it to flow is by having the challenge match your skill level. So when you're doing something, if it's not challenging enough, you're gonna get bored. You're gonna feel bored. But if you're doing something you feel overwhelmed by it, then it's above your skill level. So you're not gonna want to do anything, right? So the secret is to keep moving, keep yourself moving. And to do that, you have to constantly increase the challenge and increase the skill. Increase the challenge, increase the skill, right? So if at the moment you're at a level 5 of doing something, and when you started, it was kind of difficult to do, but now it's easy to do. It became easy. Well, now the time has come to crank it up to level 6, right? And when level 6 becomes easy, then you crank it up to level 7, right? You don't go to level 10, but you progressively increase the challenge as you increase your skill. So high performers are very good at this. When they notice themselves getting stagnant, when they notice themselves getting too comfortable, they try to push their limit. They push their edge to see, okay, how far can I go? What else can I do? They don't linger on their past successes. They don't just keep talking about the same thing they've done in the past, but they say, okay, I've done that. What's next? The next quality that I've noticed high-performing people do is they are able to generate energy. And when I say generate energy, I don't necessarily just mean physical energy, right? Even though that's a part of it. But I've noticed they are able to generate their motivation, that fire to perform. Even when they don't feel like it, they can make themselves feel like it by using their mind, by playing with their thoughts. So for example, there was a story that Michael Jordan, before they had a match with a team, some guy insulted him before that match. He, commented on his skills or abilities, or he said, I'm way better than Michael Jordan. And then Michael Jordan was able to outperform and play one of the best games ever. Now, the trick of that story is that it was completely made up and fabricated because Michael Jordan used that. He made up a story to get himself motivated to perform at a higher level. So high performers are able to generate energy from, when they most need it. So for example, if you go on a run and when you start losing that energy, you start running out of steam, that's when high performers are able to generate the energy, right? They may use their memories, and they're not always positive. So it's not like they only use positive, like, okay, you can do it, go ahead. But sometimes they will use the negatives. They'll reach deep into their dark parts of the soul to remember stuff to keep them going. So they may remember past trauma. They may remember something they're angry about. They may remember something they're dealing with right now, right? Anything to get themselves moving. So ask yourself, how can you utilize and use some of the dark parts of yourself, some of that negative energy around you, right? When you feel like you're running out of steam, can you get motivated by maybe somebody challenging you, or somebody doubting you, or somebody telling you that you can't do it? Doesn't that bring fire under your belly? But the key here is knowing yourself. If you're mostly motivated by people, or that you work at your best when people doubt you, when you are the underdog, then how can you bring more of that on the surface? How can you find more of that? Can you even play with your mind like Michael Jordan and maybe imagine things? And finally, the last quality is high performers attack their weaknesses. Many of us, when we sense we are afraid of something or we're weak somewhere, we're going to want to back off. We're going to want to hide, we're going to want to pretend, maybe even compensate for our weakness of fear. But not high performers. When they sense they are afraid of something, when they sense they are weak somewhere, they confront that, they face that head on, and they attack it. They will even use that weakness or fear or whatever they have, that they perceive as weakness. They'll use that as a way to generate energy. So for example, if they're afraid or they feel inadequate to do something, to win a championship, to close a sale, that's going to make them work harder. That's going to make them perform better, right? So their weakness is their strength. So let's say, for example, you have a fear of public speaking. And instead of running away from that fear, you could use your mind to generate energy from that fear and face it head on. So you could imagine that fear of public speaking like a boogeyman in the basement, scaring you. And then instead, you want to flip that and say, well, I'm going to show him or her who's in charge. Right? I'm not going to be bullied. I'm not going to be pushed around. I'm going to face that fear. I'm going to show him who's really in charge. Right? So from that state, from that attitude, then you go, maybe you sign up for Toastmasters, you go for public speaking classes, or you expose yourself more and you start speaking more in front of people. So if I give you an example, when I was working in sales, I had a pretty good presentation skills, but I had such a fear of rejection that I never picked up the call. I never picked up the phone and called a prospect. Even though my presentation skills were really good, I didn't have a lot of clients. I was always at the bottom of performers in the company. So once I figured that out, I faced that weakness. I said, okay, this is killing my growth. So I made an action step of calling 50 people every day, including cold calling from the phone book, because I didn't want this fear or this weakness to hold me down anymore. So attack your weaknesses. Don't let them linger in the background and hinder your growth and performance. Okay, so let's recap. The 7 qualities that I've recognized in high performers. Number 1, they have drive. They have this strong desire to do something. Number 2, they have an inspirational goal that they're pursuing. Whenever they think about that inspirational goal, it fills them up with energy, with passion. They just want to get up and go and do it. Number 3, they're structured in their movement. They don't let their actions be dependent on their moods. Number 4, they keep their focus. You won't catch them talking about gossip or talking about something, just for talking, but they keep themselves focused on the goal. They keep their eyes on the prize. Number 5, they constantly push their edge. They don't let themselves get caught with their pants down in the comfort zone. Whenever they feel they've reached the level, they push that level and go beyond it. Number 6, they have the ability to generate energy and get motivated even from the dark places, even from the negative energy, not just from the positives. And number 7, they attack their weakness. They're not afraid of their weakness. They make their weakness afraid of them. And often they even use their weakness as a source of energy and strength. So there you have it. These are the 7 qualities of high performance. I hope you enjoyed them. Notice which one of those qualities have stood up the most for you. Maybe some of them you want to develop in yourself, maybe many of them. Rewatch this video many times to kind of get them in their mind, and let us know in the comments below which one quality stood out the most for you. I'll talk to you soon.